In many rural areas of Turkey today, wild boars have become a serious issue that demands proper attention. Their population is growing uncontrollably, reproducing year-round, and becoming increasingly bold. No longer confined to the forests, these animals are now flooding into farmland that farmers have poured their sweat and effort into cultivating. In just one night, a herd of wild boars can level an entire field. Vineyards, wheat fields, even long-standing fruit trees are not spared from their destruction. Some farming families have lost everything, standing in disbelief as they witness the devastation of their crops. But it's not just crops at risk. Wild boars have become aggressive and dangerous, willing to attack if they feel threatened. Wetha Hunterscan no longer stand by and do nothing. This is no longer a casual hunt. It is a mission to protect the livelihoods of hardworking people. As dusk settles, we set out. With weapons in hand and determination in our hearts, we don't hunt for sport, we hunt out of duty. Facing wild boars is no easy task, but we know one thing for certain. If no one takes action, farmers will be left with nothing. We quickly moved into position, finding the perfect spot to set up our ambush under the bright midday sun. From a distance, we steadied our aim, fingers resting on the triggers, eyes locked onto the herd grazing carelessly ahead. Then, the sharp crack of gunfire tore through the still air, echoing across the field. The wild boars panicked, instantly squealing, kicking up dirt and scattering in all directions. It was pure chaos for a few seconds. After that, we left the open field behind and headed into a dense forest where towering trees and thick underbrush made visibility incredibly limited. Every step had to be silent, every movement calculated. Suddenly, through a narrow gap in the foliage, I spotted a massive wild boar, its thick black fur blending perfectly with the shadows. It stood half hidden behind a curtain of leaves, but I knew this was my moment. I raised my rifle, held my breath, and squeezed the trigger. One clean shot straight through the heart. The beast collapsed instantly. I didn't miss. From a distance, I spotted a wild boar moving cautiously along the edge of the clearing, its dark silhouette slipping between the trees. Without hesitation, I whispered into the radio to alert my teammates, keeping my eyes locked on the target. As the others moved into position, I steadied my aim. The moment was tense, but clear. I squeezed the trigger, and the shot rang out across the forest. The boar dropped instantly. It was a clean hit. One down. The hunt was on, and we had just gotten started. On another day, beneath a clear, sunny sky, we set out once again for the hunt. This time, it felt different, almost electric as we began to encounter herd after herd of wild boars, far more than usual. The numbers were overwhelming, moving through the brush in waves. One after another, the rifles barked, their sharp reports echoing through the hills. Gunfire became a steady rhythm, cutting through the silence of the woods. Boars squealed and scattered in every direction, but there was nowhere for them to run. The terrain worked in our favor steep slopes on one side, thick undergrowth on the other, trapping many of them within our firing range. We stayed sharp, coordinated through hand signals and brief shouts, each hunter covering a different angle. One massive boar tried to break through the line, charging wildly, but was brought down just meters away with a clean shot to the chest. The air was thick with smoke and the musky scent of wild game. When the dust finally settled, the ground was littered with bodies. It had been our most intense day yet, but also our most effective. I saw the bushes rustle me, heart pounded. Looked closer, and there, it was a wild boar the size of an oil drum. I didn't hesitate, took aim, squeezed the trigger. One clean shot. It dropped right there, not even a squeal. Game over.
Hemen üst.
It thought it was hidden
Değdi
behind
sanki,
those
değdi.
thick oak trunks,
Bacağı
but I
gitti.
caught the glint in its eye through the sunlight.
Yanından
I
geçti.
held my breath and pulled the trigger.
Düştü
The
herhalde.
bullet cut through the air straight to the heart. The beast froze, then collapsed without a sound.
Hemen üst.
We'd been tracking it all morning. Big, scarred, and experienced, it was no rookie. I knew I couldn't miss. The moment it turned its head, I fired. The gunshot echoed, and the animal dropped. Our whole hunting crew let out a cheer when we got it.
Yanından geçti. Düştü herhalde.
I saw a black shape moving behind the tall grass ears up. No sniffing. A mature male. I held my breath, raised the scope, and fired as it stepped forward. The shot hit its neck. It dropped like lightning had struck. Perfect timing. I was just about to signal the team when the boar burst out of the brush. Instinct kicked in. I fired without thinking. The gun roared, and it tumbled hard across the dirt. Dropping a beast like that feels better than hitting the jackpot. As the sun began to dip behind the distant hills, casting long shadows across the forest floor, we gathered our gear and looked back at the path we had taken. The adrenaline faded, replaced by quiet reflection. It had been a long, intense day full of patience, precision, and moments where instinct met experience. The wild boars didn't go down easy, but we did what had to be done. For the farmers whose crops were on the line, for the land that we've known since childhood, this wasn't just a hunt, it was a duty. We loaded up the truck in silence, the smell of gunpowder still faint in the air. Another hunt completed. Tomorrow, the fight might begin again. Coyotes are no longer just a rural problem. In the past, coyotes were seen as elusive creatures of the wild, living far from human civilization in the remote deserts, grasslands, and open ranges of North America. However, In recent decades, that picture has changed dramatically. Thanks to their remarkable adaptability, these wild canines haven't just survived in modern times. They've thrived in urban environments, places once thought to be the exclusive domain of humans. Today, seeing a coyote in a suburban neighborhood, city park, or even your own backyard is no longer rare. Residents of large metropolitan areas such as Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix, and even Chicago have become increasingly familiar with these unexpected visitors. Coyotes often slip into quiet neighborhoods during the early morning or late evening times, when human activity is low and the streets are calm, perfect conditions for foraging. At first, they may target spilled trash, pet food left outdoors, or fallen fruit in gardens. But over time, as they learn there's little to fear, they become bolder, stalking small pets, and in rare cases, approaching unsupervised children. With high reproductive rates, a single female coyote can give birth to 5 to 9 pups annually. This contributes to a rapid population boom in suburban zones where natural predators are scarce and food is abundant. These animals aren't afraid of porch lights, cars, or even human voices. They've adapted to live among us often without being noticed until a chicken goes missing, a cat doesn't come home, or a small dog is found with serious injuries. This quiet yet dangerous infiltration has forced suburban residents who once considered themselves far removed from wildlife threats to rethink how they protect their pets. What was once thought of as a distant Wild West problem has become a very real backyard reality, with coyotes weaving silently between neatly mowed lawns and white picket fences. The coyote, a patient and intelligent predator. Unlike many wild predators that rely on brute force or instinctive aggression, the coyote is known for its patience, cunning, and calculated strategies. It doesn't charge blindly at prey. Instead, it observes, waits, and learns human behavior before making a move. That's why many pet attacks aren't random. They're the result of deliberate, long-term surveillance. For example, a coyote might quietly watch a household for several days, studying the times when the dog is let out, where the chicken coop is located, or when the balcony door is left open in the early morning. Once it knows the routine, it strikes at the perfect moment, often at dawn or dusk, when people are least alert. These attacks are usually silent and sudden, leaving pet owners with no time to react. What's even more alarming is that coyotes don't always hunt alone. While you may only spot a single one, in reality, they often travel in loose groups and use coordinated strategies. One may act as a decoy to draw attention, while another approaches from a hidden angle. This explains why even the most alert dogs can fall victim to surprise attacks, and why survival is unlikely without immediate human intervention. Many pet owners have shared stories of stepping away for just a few minutes, only to return and find their small dog gone, snatched over a backyard fence they thought was secure. With the ability to leap nearly 6 feet high and climb with agility, an ordinary fence poses little challenge to a hungry coyote. To make matters worse, leaving pet food outside, putting trash out overnight, or feeding pets outdoors turns your yard into an all-you-can-eat buffet for these opportunistic hunters. Stealthy, calculating, and decisive, the coyote isn't a reckless brute. It's a tactical predator with intelligence that rivals our expectations. And that's why defending pets from coyotes isn't just a matter of strength. It's a test of vigilance, planning, and smart prevention. A hidden threat to pets. The silent predator next door. For many urban pet owners, coyotes may still seem like a distant concern, or worse, an underestimated one. There's a common belief that cats are agile, dogs will bark and defend themselves, and a fenced yard is protection enough. But the harsh reality is, most pets attacked by coyotes do not survive, whether they're cats or dogs, whether they're in the front yard or backyard, even if their owners are nearby. Cats are especially vulnerable. With their instinct to roam, climb, and explore at night, they often venture outdoors unsupervised, the perfect opportunity for a coyote to strike. Many cats vanish without a trace, no blood, no noise, leaving only an empty porch and a sinking feeling when the owner realizes something is wrong. As for dogs, the risk depends heavily on size and habits. Small breeds like Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, miniature poodles, or Shih Tzus often stand no chance in a surprise attack. Even medium-sized dogs like Corgis or Beagles can be seriously injured if not rescued immediately. A full-grown coyote can snatch a 20-pound dog over a fence and disappear into the dark in under a minute. The danger doesn't end with the attack itself. Many dogs that survive such encounters are left traumatized, unable to sleep, jumpy at every noise, and fearful of going outside. Owners, meanwhile, carry the weight of guilt and grief, often blaming themselves for looking away just a moment too long. It's a loss that can't be measured in dollars. It leaves a lasting emotional scar. In regions like California, Colorado, and Arizona, where coyotes are common, veterinary clinics regularly treat emergency cases involving pets mauled by coyotes. Wounds are often deep, jagged, and infected, sometimes involving internal damage. Even when pets survive, recovery can take weeks with expensive treatment and emotional stress for the whole family. The most common cause? Complacency. What seems like a secure yard to a human is often a hunting ground to a coyote. And once it's identified your home as a food source, repeat attacks are likely unless serious preventative steps are taken. How to protect pets from coyotes? As coyotes become increasingly bold and common in residential areas, waiting for local authorities to act is no longer enough. Each household, each pet owner, is now the first and most critical line of defense. Taking proactive measures not only reduces risk, but also safeguards the emotional well-being of families who deeply care for their animal companions. The most important rule is simple. Never let pets outside unsupervised at night. Dawn and dusk are peak activity times for coyotes. Even opening the door for just a few minutes so your dog can go potty could be all the time a hidden predator needs to strike. If outdoor access is necessary, always use a short leash and stay close. Next, fortify fences and enclosures. A backyard fence should be at least 6 feet tall, ideally with an angled top or roller bar to prevent jumping. Chicken coops or small livestock enclosures should be reinforced with durable wire mesh and buried at least 8 to 12 inches underground to stop digging. What seems like a small gap to you could be a perfect entry point for a nimble coyote. Third, keep your yard clean and scent-free. Avoid leaving leftover food, bones, fallen fruit, or unattended pet food outside overnight. These odors don't just attract coyotes, they draw in rodents and other small animals, which in turn attract larger predators. Adding motion-activated lights, alarm systems, or security cameras can help you detect unusual activity. Some advanced systems even emit high-frequency sounds that deter coyotes once they're detected on your property. These tools can serve as an early warning and potentially scare them away before an incident occurs. Finally, be mindful of how you walk your dog, especially near wooded areas or open land. Never let pets roam off-leash, no matter how safe the area may seem. Use a sturdy, short leash and keep your pet within reach at all times. If you encounter a coyote, do not run. Instead, raise your arms, make loud noises, and back away slowly while keeping your pet close and calm. No method is foolproof, but combining multiple preventive strategies can significantly reduce the risk of a pet falling victim. In an age when coyotes no longer fear humans, the owner's vigilance is the final line of defense between a predator and our beloved four-legged companions.